called the direct method. It's going to assign the cost directly to the revenue units. Alright, so our last time to look at Mikey's here. Mikey's has two support departments. They have HR and janitorial. For simplicity's sake, we're going to call this S1 and this S2. Then they have three production departments or three revenue generating departments. We have chocolate chip cookies. These are we'll call production department 1. Other cookies, production 2, and then brownies, production 3. HR incurred $100,000 in cost this period. And janitorial incurred $26,000. Yes, there's some, direct costs that are happening in here, some overhead costs. Yes, we can directly trace those to the individual production departments or allocate them based on overhead allocation. I'm not worried about that. That's the other stuff we've learned. If there's any joint process, we've already done this. The thing is now, we got HR that processes all the workers' paperwork in these three departments, and we got janitorial that goes and cleans up everything that happens for these three departments. And these are the costs they incurred taking care of these three departments. And so we got to figure out how to allocate these costs to these departments. The direct method is going to say we have we're going to directly allocate S1's cost to the three departments, and we're going to allocate S2's cost to the three departments. So we'll look at S1 separately and allocate to the three. We'll look at S2 separately and allocate to the three. Direct method. Directly taking these costs and dividing them amongst the three. How we do that? Well, we have to find some sort of relationship between the services that are provided by HR to the three departments. In this case, we're just going to use the hours of service provided. Another thing might be HR might be the number of employees in each one of these departments. Janitorial may be the square footage of each one of these departments. But to keep it simple right now, we're going to use hours of support. So that means, this in a little bit better format. So we have our two departments, S1, S2. Cost $100,000, $26,000. So what's going on? Well, this is the chart you already have. Well, technically, HR spends 200 hours processing the workers' paperwork of janitorial, 300 hours processing the work for chocolate chip cookies, 400 hours other cookies, and 100 hours in the brownies. So that's how much work that HR did for each one of the departments in the company. Janitorial spent 400 hours cleaning up the HR offices, 200 hours cleaning up the chocolate chip cookie area, 150 on the other cookie area, and 250 on brownies. So for this period, that's what happened. That's where they spent their time. The direct method going to ignore this. Direct method says, I don't care that janitorial spent 400 hours cleaning up HR. All we care about is that it spent these hours on the production departments. So in that case, if we look at S1, total hours here, 300 plus 400 plus 100, that's 800 hours. We look down here, 200 plus 150 plus 250, that's 600 hours. So we're ignoring these. So that means then, well, for the chocolate chip cookies, 3/8 of the total time was spent by HR processing chocolate chip cookies department's paperwork. % of the time was spent on other cookies. 1/8 of the time was spent on the brownies. For janitorial, 1/3 of the time was spent on other cookie or on chocolate chip cookies. Fraction 5, so it'd be 3/12, 5/12 of the time on other cookies. And whatever this comes out to be. 250 over 600 of its time on brownies. Well, this is kind of similar to what we've done before. We created a proportion based on, in this case, hours. So in this case, we have $100,000 in cost to divide up amongst the three. So, however you want to enter it in your calculator, round it, whatever. It eventually comes to $37,500 is allocated to chocolate chip cookies. Half the cost is allocated to other cookies. And finally, 1/8 of the cost is allocated to brownies. Well, that's pretty straightforward. Your only complication will be is if I put on there, I have it set up normally, but I tell you the total hours is 1,000. Well, yeah, that's the total hours that actually HR spent. It's just the direct method, you got to take what they spent on janitorial out and recalculate that the total hours in production were 800. So it's only proportion, we're only focused on the hours that are spent in production. It's the direct method. So it's only being directly traced to the three production departments. Okay? It ignores what goes on here. Direct method is the easiest method. So you just have to figure out, okay, total hours spent in production. What's then is the individual production department's proportion? Multiply it out. We've done that. With the joint costs, similar idea there. Again, it might not be hours, it might be people, it might be square feet. The drawback here. Well, look at janitorial alone. Man, it spent 400 hours on HR. And we're completely ignoring that. We're just focusing on the 600 hours that they spent in the production department. What really happened? Well, HR is supporting janitorial, and janitorial is supporting HR. Okay, well, time for looking into one more.